Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Cafe Rewatch podcast. Hey, Gigi, how's it going?
I'm going well. It's a lovely day.
Nice and sunny in Southern California here. Are you having a sunny Northern California?
Having a lovely Northern California day,
That's
which is always
good. That's awesome. So, what are you drinking today? What is your caffeinated beverage?
a caffeinated choice today. This is something I made for myself. I made myself a cappuccino, but a mocha cappuccino, and
Mmm,
it was fabulous. And I made a big mug of it. It was like I needed
jumbo,
serious
jumbo size.
jumbo size. And let me tell you, usually sometimes it takes me a while to drink it. Oh, not today. Today I drank it all because I needed to be get up and go.
Because you
So
had a busy weekend of getting things done, right? Today,
yes,
this weekend was task oriented.
exactly. So that is what I had done, and I am thrilled, and it was delicious.
The perfect combination to your day.
It was. It was. I don't have
Awesome.
very many of those, but it was good. It all came together.
Oh,
It all
nice.
came together.
I wound up making myself just a regular like a cinnamon dolce iced coffee. I just felt like just go back to my roots. That's been my
That's
favorite
all
ever since Starbucks came out with their cinnamon dolce, which I believe was about a year or so before my youngest was born. And she's going to be
right.
17 the end of the month. So, it's been a minute. As soon as I
Mm-hmm.
found it, that was my flavor. That just has been my flavor no matter what. I always go back to it. And I just
Well,
kind of felt like a little nostalgia today.
well, you do the cinnamon, I do the mocha, and we're all
Yeah,
good.
yeah, so yummy. We are coming to the close. We're closing in on season 4. We only have 2 episodes left. Ooh.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, so we're on season 4, episode 11, once again.
Okay, now this one says Vernon and Hope argue about seeking in-home care. Oh, because poor Hope's still having some issues.
That's over like a heart attack, literally.
Right? Mel confronts Cameron about his odd behavior. Uh,
Mm.
Finally, she's cluing into what's going on. Come on, Mel. I know you have like lovesick eyes now that you and Jack are back together. It's like we always say the um, the heart emoji, heart in the eye emoji. Yeah, she's walking
Mm-hmm.
around in the clouds, so she's not paying much attention to anybody else. But I think he's finally just being so overt that it's ridiculous. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Jack gets his glamping caravan business up and running. So Jack now has something to do. Very nice.
Well, he had something to do before. It's just that now he has more to do.
Well, he's got a lot happening with his house burned down, and now the land is a problem, and so all the things that he was planning to do, he can't really do. I mean, yes, the business, the bar, but he's got to figure a way to do something with the land because otherwise he's paying for a mortgage that he doesn't have. He's not even living on. So good luck, Jack. Let's see how this works out. The poor man can't get a break, but let's maybe hope he has a little bit of a break. Let's
We'll
hope.
see how it goes.
All right. So when we left our friends in Virgin River, preacher was opening the bar door, and a familiar face was at the door, namely
Mm-hmm.
Paige. Now, he has not heard from, seen. He got a letter with some like a quick note and some medical paperwork so that he would be able to take care of Christopher was the only thing he's heard. And then he heard through her friend Sally, who turned out to be a double crosser,
Exactly.
that he was getting information that way. And then Christopher got taken. So he moved on. I mean, what's he going to do?
Well, he hired a private detective, but that's
It hasn't panned out. I mean, Christopher is
no.
still missing. The uncle has him. He's now gotten the phone call from Christopher. So he's still, I mean, it was almost like he was resigned to the fact that Christopher and her were off living their life. And then he gets Christopher back. And then Christopher gets taken. So then he's thrown back into it again. But now that he's done everything he can, private investigator, searching himself, calling all the time, trying to figure out what's going on, worried to death. I mean, even he told Jack, I'm back in therapy because I'm so worried about dealing with what's going on with Christopher. But in the same vein of having all of that happen, he is starting to see Julia.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's got this sort of half 1 foot in the door with Paige and her drama with Christopher, and 1 foot in the door with Julia. The poor man is going to split himself in two. I mean, he's like a wishbone at this point.
It's a shame because he doesn't deserve it.
No, he's such a nice guy. Then all of a sudden, who shows up? It's Paige, and the look on his face is like, Paige?
What the hell?
Right? At the same time, now keep in mind, he was having a lovely glass of wine in front of the fireplace with Julia. Now, him and Julia have gotten very close, between the sheets close, and this is not something he does on the regular. He's...
Nope.
But he did, and now his two worlds are colliding.
Yep.
She's like, how did you, can I come in? Like, I mean, she even looks different. I mean, she just looks distressed.
And the thing is, she showed up and it's just like, you didn't call to say you were coming by.
I mean, she is on the run. If she doesn't want to leave a trace, she doesn't want to leave any, it's scary for her. She's got to remain as far underground as possible, because if what's his name finds her, yes, he has her son, but it's like they've got to try and find him before he finds her, because he will probably kill her.
Yep.
So
on the loop.
Exactly. So as much as it would have been nice for her to call ahead, she probably couldn't. That's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
Just my opinion.
I'll give you that.
So she's like, can I come in? And he's like, yes, of course. And then as she walks in, Julia's there. It's like, okay, awkward.
Well, all I could say, let's just say, I'm glad they weren't in bed or anything like that.
Right.
They're sitting there just having a drink. And
I mean, she has to accept the fact that he has moved on. I mean, it's not like they didn't even have a relationship. He had more of a relationship with Christopher than he did with Paige.
Exactly.
I don't even think they ever kissed.
No, they didn't.
So, and it's funny because
holding hands was dancing.
Holding hands and hugging and like a kiss on the cheek and that kind of getting close, but never close.
Right.
And it's weird because in the book, they got together, they had a baby, they moved on. I mean, they lived together, they helped, work at the bar, they lived in the back, they renovated and they built on, and it was like a whole different story. So they really took this story in a different way.
Yeah, that's why they always say, don't judge the book by what they do with the TV.
And I always have, people will post or whatever, and they'll be like, but it's so much. I'm like, it's not. This show is not the books. It was inspired by. They'll take one character that's on the show, and that character may be a combination of 3 or 4 characters from the book. I mean, there's so many characters in the book that I could see being in the show would be really cool. Like families, like you could totally see them being a really good. But it's like they can only do so much. They've already got so many characters.
Okay, first of all, the book is what, 22, 23 books in the series?
A lot.
Exactly.
And every book is a different couple or different family.
Exactly. And I mean, I read these books years ago. I mean, when she first came out with these books, which was
a long time ago. I don't even remember.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what these characters were about any more than
I only know because I read them like last year.
Right. And my thing is, I read them when they first came out.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you because I read over 100 books a year. So there's too much going on.
No, I understand that now. I didn't understand that before. Like I've read 50 books this year. It's what, April 5th, 4th, 3rd, whatever it is. And
Right. And so now you get it.
I can't remember. Some do stick in your mind. There are some that take up, are living rent free in my mind, but others
don't even
remember.
And that's the nature of, because for me, for instance, I take an author like Sandra Clare, her books, and Holly Black. These are books that have series in it. These are books that have made a major
Oh,
impact
yeah.
in my life.
Sure.
So they stay there even years later. But
some you read, you enjoy, and you move on.
And you move on, and that's the whole thing. So it's hard to, I tell people this all the time, don't get caught up in the book. Read the book for what the book is, and enjoy the movie for what it is.
I always say enjoy it as an inspiration for the show. Just because you read it in the book, don't look for it in the show. It may not happen. The character may be named something different. The character, might not be the same person. They might not be with this. I mean, even take somebody like Brady. Okay. Mm-hmm. We know Brady. Brady's a very integral part of this show.
Yeah.
But in the book, he's like Jack's age or older. He's got one leg that nobody knew about because it comes out later that he's, an amputee. And he's like, he works and he does this and and it's just a whole different character. He's like a recluse who lives in the woods, and he's just a completely different character. Yeah, they got the same name, but that's about the only thing they've got in common.
Yeah, common, yeah.
And they're both in the military. That's it. Other than that, there's not a single thing that's the same. I mean, he winds up with some lady that nobody would ever thought he would end up with. But
and it's not Bree.
Oh no. Bree winds up with Mike in the books.
Yeah.
And who knows? Season 7 will tell you what's going on there. But
tell me about it.
So, yeah. So anyway, sorry we got a little off, a little tangent.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen.
All right. So Preacher walks in, and of course Paige is gonna see Julia sitting in front of the fireplace with her glass of wine, and Julia stands up, and Preacher, just natural. Julia, this is Paige. It's like, and she's like, hi, nice to meet you. And she's like, you too. And what does she do? Grabs her purse. She's like, you know what? I'm going to let you two talk. And, and Paige is like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. And Julia's like, it's okay. And she knows who she is because she saw that picture that came from the picnic basket of the woman and her son. And so she knows exactly who that is.
Exactly.
And Preacher's like, I had no idea. And Julie's like, I understand. Call me later. And out she goes. Now, Preacher feels bad. But part of him is like, oh, my God, are you, like his mind is racing. And he's like, how and where? And she's like, I've been staying at a women's shelter and I've got free legal aid. And I was, when I couldn't get a hold of Sally, I got really nervous, and he doesn't know. Remember, she's been hiding, and in her mind, Christopher is with Preacher, and so her only connection was Sally. Now Sally's off the grid because of all the things that happen with Sally. Sally's basically in jail, and so she's freaking out because she can't reach anybody. Sally told Paige that Vince took Christopher, and that she's the one that set her up. So she found out all that stuff, and now she's freaking out, so she had to go find out. So she's like, so is it true Vince has Christopher? And Preacher's like, yeah, and she just loses it. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm doing everything I can do to get him back. And she's just sobbing, and she's like, where is my boy? Because that's the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
So now we're back at the cabin, and Jack is having a dream. Now, we know what he has said had happened between him and his brother, but now he's dreaming about it. So now we're going to get a visual of what really happened with his brother.
His brother, Adam.
Yes, his older brother, Adam. So apparently they climbed out onto the roof, and the brother went ahead, and Jack was a little apprehensive, and he was like, come on, Jack, come on, egging him on.
Jack is terrified.
Yeah. And so the brother wants to walk back to help him come across, because that's what big brothers do. And he loses his step and he falls off the roof. And Jack wakes up, and Mel is like looking over him because they're asleep in bed. And she's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's just like, he looks terrified. Like, oh my God, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you were just having a nightmare. It's all right. She's like, you were thrashing around. And he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, it's okay. And he sits up and he can't even handle it. He's like, me and my brother Adam, we were on the roof. And he's barely able to get it out. He goes, he crossed first. He's like, and then he starts to cry. It's so sad. Because you don't see Jack cry very often. I mean, he's like trying not to cry, but he's crying. And she's just putting her hand on his back. And he's like, I froze. He's like, and he came back to get me as he's sobbing. He's like, and he slipped and he fell. And he's just sobbing. And she's like, oh, baby, was that your dream? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, yeah. He goes, it's what happened. And then she realizes that it was real and he was just having a nightmare about it. And so she grabs him and she makes him lay down and they're like holding each other while he sobs. Oh, poor Jack. I mean, this has tortured him since it happened.
Between what happened in the war and this.
The man's got so much PTSD. Good Lord.
Tell me about it.
And then one of the very few times we actually get a timeline, 3 days later, ... It's very rare. Very rare. So the two of them are in the doctor's office. And there's another couple sitting across from them. And the person comes in, the receptionist, whatever, comes in and says, you know, the doctor will see you now. And the other couple stands up. She's clearly pregnant, this other woman. And they are going back to their appointment. And Jack and Mel are just sitting there waiting their turn. So they have gone back to the doctor's office for the nip, which is the test that's going to find out who's the daddy.
Who's the daddy?
Oh, my God. Little bit of Maury Povich, Jerry Springer.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I know.
Oh, my God. It's been so long since we've seen all that kind of drama.
I know. It's so funny.
You have to leave it. Yeah, now you have that in court TV now.
Right? There's like 5 different court shows and they're all the same thing. Who's the daddy?
Oh, who's the daddy?
So they're sitting there and she looks over at him and she's like, are you okay? She's like, we don't have to be here. And he's like, I want to be here. I want to do this.
Because they got to deal with Cassandra and her.
Right?
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, for my French.
And she's like, sure. She goes, it's okay if you change your mind. He's like, I haven't changed my mind. I promise. And he's like, she goes, we can fight Cassandra in court without the test. And he's like, I don't want to do that unless it's necessary.
Exactly.
And he's like, we're doing this. And she's like, okay. And she rubs his arm and she sits there and she grabs her phone and she looks at it and then she puts her phone away. Now I'll throw a little tidbit. The shirt that she's wearing in this episode, it's like a brown and orange tie-dye something or another. This happens to be one of the shirts that she took home with her. Because when they were packing to go to season 6, her and Zibby were in each other, like they were both home in their own places. And they filmed an Instagram where they were both packing. So it was like a split screen. And she's looking through her closet and Zibby's looking through her closet, trying to figure out what are they going to bring because they're going to be there for 3.5 months. And they're like, oh, my God, we've done this so many times. You'd think we would know what to bring, but I always bring way too many sweaters and this and that. And it's so cold up there. And, they both live in Georgia. So they're used to cold weather. And then somebody asked something or they were talking about like things that they kept from the show. And she pulled this shirt out. And she goes, I really like this, so I got to take it home or something like that. And it was the shirt that she's wearing, which is kind of funny. So they do actually take things home from them. She has a bunch of stuff. I think there was a few things that she mentioned that she really liked and she was able to bring home. I think Zibby also did the same thing. I mean, generally the clothes are for, the show. But if you really like them and they're not really going to use them again, then, what's the point?
Yeah, I'd take the jewelry, but that's okay.
There's not a lot of jewelry. I mean,
I know.
With Mel, you've got a necklace he gave her. She does wear another necklace regularly, and then she has her engagement ring. But she doesn't even have that yet. We know that's coming. It's not like I'm giving a spoiler. We all know they're going to get married at some point. So there is an engagement ring coming. But that's obviously not something she's going to take home. But yeah, she doesn't really wear a lot of jewelry. I think I do remember her saying something about it was either her or Zibby. I think it was Zibby who kept a pair of earrings. She really liked them, and they said, yeah, you can keep them. So they do get to keep some things, which is kind of nice. I mean, if there's a certain jacket or a purse or, a sweater or something that you really like, it's nice that they let them keep them.
Just in side note, for Legally Blonde,
when yes. I remember hearing about this.
She had it written
in the contract.
She had 72 pairs of Jimmy Choo shoes that she could take. I was like, girl,
it's like for somebody who loves shoes, it's like pay me less and give me the shoes. I'm not a shoe person, but for someone she'd be like, it's okay if you just like pay me less and give me the amount in shoes. Like, I'm good with that. Well, I think they just gave them to her. I think they just let her keep them.
72 pairs of Jimmy Choo.
She needed a closet just for that. Tell
me about it.
It's crazy.
I thought, and the women on the panel when she was saying this,
I remember seeing that.
It was.
I remember saying, "You did what? Like, you got to keep all?" And yes.
The show with her was on an English talk show.
Okay.
Julie Andrews was there, and from Friends, what's her name?
Yes, Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, because they're on the morning show together.
Right. And they were like, you go, girl. They were like,
right. Whoa. They were like, proud of you. That's how you write a contract.
Exactly.
God.
Anyway, sorry for the distraction again.
No, it's fine. That's fine. It's going to be one of those days. Okay. We're just going to warn everybody. This episode may be just a slight bit longer than the last few because clearly we are off on tangents today.
Yes, we are. Anyway.
And back to our regularly scheduled programming. So they're sitting in the waiting room, and then Mel, she keeps looking at her phone, and Jack is like, kind of like looking at her like, what? And she's like, she goes, I don't know, Cameron's being weird. And he's looking at her like, huh? She goes, well, he's not responding to text messages, and he's been distant the last couple days. It's like he's trying to avoid me. And Jack, he's like, it's probably just got something else going on. She says, maybe I'm just being paranoid. So Mel just keeps kind of looking over at Jack and trying to be supportive. Because remember, he did have that nightmare. She's like rubbing his arm, and she's like, how was your session with Barry? And he's like, fine. And she's like, yeah. She goes, did you tell him about your brother and the dream that you had? And he was like, yeah. And she's like, what did he say? And he's like, well, he said that because my family never really even talked about Adam, that I probably have unprocessed grief. He goes, oh, yeah, it was fun to hear that. And she's like, oh, poor Jack. And she goes, well, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I never even thought about it until I found that picture of him in my storage unit. And then the light bulb goes on. She goes, wasn't that the day of Joey's wedding? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, why didn't you say something? He goes, I didn't want to spoil anything. And, it's just like making excuses. She goes, I never would have thought that. He goes, well, anyway, I don't know what set me off. Maybe it was that. I don't know. He goes, I haven't said his name in over 20 years. Now, remember, that's just like what Doc said. Just because it was the war and everything, this thing with his brother could have been the same kind of grief that he's been carrying around in hardship. Because remember when Doc was talking about not being able to say the words Tet Offensive for 30 years because of how much pain it brought him?
Yep.
That's just like Jack. I mean, he literally blocked out his brother and hasn't said his name in 20 years. And only for seeing the picture did all of those feelings come rushing back.
Yep.
So and now she gets it. I mean, she was pissed at him, and thank God they worked it out. Yeah. But now it doesn't excuse what he did, but it makes so much more sense of what he was actually dealing. It wasn't just him being drunk. It's like he's got so much going on that he hasn't dealt with, that he's trying to deal with it in his own way, which is clearly not effective or healthy. And drinking is what he's doing, and that's not working.
Yeah.
But now she doesn't have to try and help him on her own. Now she's got Barry. So thank goodness that he's getting help, because, it's just too much.
Barry's getting to the root of the problem, basically.
Yeah. And so she asked him, she goes, why didn't your parents, like, talk about him? And he's like, well, my parents were gutted. He was the oldest, she goes. And he goes, they just wanted to forget. And he goes, Bree was too young to remember. And she goes, oh, sweetheart. And she's, like, rubbing his back. She goes, I'm so sorry. He goes, you must have felt so alone. Because I think he was the closest one to his brother. He goes, yeah. I did, because there were only 2 boys. And I mean, I think there were older sisters between him and the older brother, but they were the closest because they were the 2 boys. And he says, he goes, maybe that's why I blocked it out. He goes, I just literally didn't have any other way to deal with it.
Covered it up with alcohol.
Yep, exactly. And she's like, but you're dealing with it now. He goes, yeah, well, that wasn't my idea, though, was it? Because it was. And they kind of laugh about that. And she goes, yeah, but you're still doing it. And he's like, yeah. She's like, and that's all that matters, right? She goes, it takes a lot of strength to deal with something that is so painful. And he's like, thanks. And then, as they're holding hands, the guy comes back and he goes, Miss Monroe, Mr. Sheridan, we're ready for you. That's their turn. So she's about 2 months pregnant at this point, as she holds her little tummy as she walks by. It's cute. Now, at the same time, across town.
Oh, yeah. Now this is a whole different kettle of fish.
Yes. We've got Doc and Hope at the neurologist appointment because she's not been right. Something's going on with her, and they're going to, whether she wants to deal with it or not, they're going to deal with it. So Doc's like,
well, with doctors.
No, Hope does not want to go. She doesn't want to deal with it. That's what it is. She doesn't want to face that there's problems. So Doc's like, Hope's behavior, deciding to drive, canceling appointments, lying.
That doesn't, to be honest with you, that sounds just like Hope anyway. Honest with you.
Right. But it just seems like it's all a lot, like maybe more than usual. And Doc understands that because he knows how she is, which is why he says all those things, how much of it relates to her TBI, traumatic brain injury, because he knows that's how Hope is. So he's clearly understanding that that's how she is normally, but he's thinking that there's been an excessive amount of it that might be related. Now, it might not be. We don't know, but, we'll see. We'll see what the doctor says. The doctor's got to do her assessment, and then we'll be able to tell. The doctor's like, it's impossible to put a precise percentage on it. But safe to say, injury has definitely affected her decision-making. She goes, see, Vernon, none of this is my fault. And she's like, let's go. Thanks for your time. And then he's like, Hope, we are not finished. He goes, now, if that's the case, what can you do to ensure that she'll be safe while receiving the proper treatment? And she goes, whoa, wrap me in a bubble? Like, seriously? And the doctor's first answer is, have you considered a home health aide? Someone who can oversee the day-to-day. Yeah. You think Hope's going to have want a babysitter?
Yeah.
And it's exactly what she says. I do not want or need a babysitter. And then the doctor suggests a residential facility.
Oh, my Lord. That was just like...
Hope is like, there is no way I'm going to some old folks' home. And the doctor's like, I wouldn't dismiss the idea so quickly. This is a rehabilitation center that specializes in neural trauma. Because you'll have daily access to physical and cognitive therapy, and you wouldn't have to cook or clean. It'll all be done for you. And Hope's like, she goes, well, the absence of chores sounds lovely. I want to live in my own house.
Oh, yes.
She goes, not some 7x10 dorm room. And Doc just holds her on both sides of her shoulders, and he's like, honey, we're trying to make sure that you're taken care of so you can get better. She goes, I am getting better. I just made some unfortunate choices. I told you it won't happen again. He goes, Hope, honey, I don't think this is something you could control. So, that's a conversation they're going to definitely continue having. For sure.
Oh, for sure.
So we're back at Preacher's, and it looks like that Paige slept on the couch, and she's like, I called Vince, and Sally gave me a number where I could reach him. She goes, he's agreed to an exchange, and he'll give up Christopher. if I go with him. And Preacher's like, no, 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 no. He goes, that's a non-starter. He goes, no, Preacher, we have no choice. They're staying at a mountainside cabin, and he gave me the GPS coordinates. And he goes, okay, I'm going to loop in Mike. She goes, no, if the cops get involved, they'll arrest us both. Because remember, she did kill Wes. I mean, it was an accident, but he is dead, so.
Yeah, and nobody deserved that better than he did.
And she goes, and then who will look after Christopher? And he goes, I'll go after him. And she goes, I have to. And he goes, trust me, it's better if I go along. And she's like, well, Sally could be setting us up again. So I guess Sally's not arrested. She's still out in the wind. And he's like, if I am there, then he'll make the swap. And she's adamant. She's like, but if things go wrong, then I'll never see my boy again. And he's like, Paige, please. He goes, now send me the coordinates. I'll bring Christopher home. And she's like, okay. So he's going to go out by himself. Now,
why does that sound like a very bad idea?
Well,
because we're dealing with a psychopath.
Yeah, okay, but think about it. If you put Paige against Wes, and remember he's a detective. That's a non-starter. Like, she's not going to win that fight. Where Preacher against Wes, I think that's more of a fair fight.
I understand that.
He has a better chance.
But my thing is, if Wes picks the plays, he can sabotage him. That's
true. But Preacher also got a lot of military training.
Military skill. That's true as well.
So he might be able to work something out.
Okay. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. So it's after Mel and Jack's appointment, and they go down to the pier, this little dock where people fish off of, and it's a little pier. This is an adorable scene. I love this scene. I love this scene. So cute. It's just adorable. Probably one of my favorite scenes in this episode.
I agree with you there.
So they've gotten themselves a little snack. He's drinking coffee and she's eating a muffin or something. And he was like, so how was your test? You didn't say. And she's like, oh, it was fine. They took a blood sample. And she's just eating her muffin. And he's like, mine was a cheek swab. It took like 10 seconds. And she's like, really? And she's got her coffee and her muffin. And she's shaking her head like, seriously? Like, God, it's just not even fair.
I agree.
And then she's like, guys have it so easy. He's like, not true. She goes, it is. He goes, no, it's not. He goes, yeah. He goes, you're going to squeeze a watermelon out of your... And he stops her right there. He goes, whoa, wait. I don't need to know. Message received. Thank you. And she is cracking up. It's like, your part in this is so minimal at best. Exactly. Which is so true.
It's so true.
He goes, okay, good. Thank you.
I always like to say, if men had babies, the population of the world would be in half.
You've seen the videos of men who do the period cramps.
Yes.
Where they put it on like 1 and they're on the floor, and women are like 10 reading a book, and the guys get to 5 and they're like crying. Yep, it's hilarious.
It's hysterical. I find that hysterical.
And only when they only when they go through that do they start like appreciating what women have to actually go through. It's like, you guys do this every month? Yes. And you guys have to and you expect us to do all this stuff in the middle of all that? Yes. And they're like, I have so much, a lot of the guys are like, I have so much respect for you now. It's like, yeah, where was that before?
As I said, the population would be half, most of it.
Oh, God. I just saw something today. I think it was Will Ferrell. He was like, I think it's past time that women ruled the world. He goes, because men have been doing it for 10,000 years, and look where we are. He goes, I think it's just time. I think it's just women should just take over. I think we're going to be better off. It's really funny. So the two of them are just laughing over this because he's like, whoa there, sister. And so Mel asks when he is supposed to talk to Nick, because remember when he was at the bar and he was coming up with his little glamping idea, and Nick is like, I would love to invest in that. Why don't you write something up and we'll talk about it? And because Nick is a businessman and he's got a lot of money, so
he does.
So Jack's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to meet around 1:30. And so Mel's like, do you think he's serious about investing in the glamping business? And Jack's like, I certainly hope so. He's like, this could change everything for us. Like, he's so serious. She's like, yeah? He goes, well, even if it doesn't, and she rubs his shoulder, it's going to be fine. We're going to be okay. And he just stops and he just stares at her and he goes, anybody else would have given up on me by now. And she just looks at him and he's like, but you didn't. And he goes, you pulled me back from somewhere dark. And she looked at him and she's like, yeah, well, you did the same for me. And he goes, and I would do it again and again and again. And she's like, you're ridiculous. And he gives him a kiss. And he goes, that may be true. And he's like, you're so beautiful. And he puts his hair behind her ear and give a little kiss on the pier. It's very cute. It's a very cute scene.
Yeah.
All right. So now we are, looks like Hope's house. And Lizzie is making signs. There's a knock at the door. She runs over to answer it, and it's Denny. And he goes, hey, come on in. And so they have all these signs. He goes, so what are we up to? He said, we're making posters and a banner. So when Jack drives Ricky out of town, he'll have a whole crowd cheering for him. He goes, that's awesome of you to organize it. She goes, yeah, I saw it on TikTok. Thought it would be fun. And so he's like, so how far have you gotten? She goes, well, I finished these signs. And he goes, and Connie, she pulls up a sign. Connie made this one. And he laughs. He goes, who's Rick? She goes, well, she didn't leave enough room for the Y. He goes, well, we can do better than that. And so he says, I can stay as long as is needed. She goes, thanks for helping me with this. And he's like, of course. He's like, what do you think of the slogan? Kick boot camp's butt. She's like, it's perfect. So now they get to working on some more signs. They keep kind of stealing glances at each other. All right, so now we're back at the clinic. And Cameron's just chilling out in the kitchen, drinking a cup of coffee, scrolling on his phone, and Mel walks in. And he's like, hey. And so she's just kind of looking at him, and he's looking at her, and they're not really saying anything. And she opens up the cabinet, and it's got like every tea flavor possible. There must be 15 of them in there. And she's like, where did all this tea come from? And he's like, oh, yeah, I went to the store, and there's also orange juice in the freezer. And she's like, oh, orange juice? Huh. And there's juice and salads and fruit. And she goes, you bought all of this? He goes, yeah, that's what happens when I shop hungry. Oh, and just decided to stock the fridge. And he's like, yeah, well, I thought it'd be nice. She goes, well, it is nice. Thank you. And then Brady shows up, catches the both of them. And he's like, hey, sorry for busting in. And he kind of looks at Melody and goes, can I talk to you for a second? She's like, yeah, sure. Brady, this is Dr. Hayek. And he goes, oh, yeah, we met at the wedding. Yeah, we did. He goes, Doc's not here. You can use his office. She's like, great. So she grabs Brady and they head to the office. She shuts the door. She's like, so what can I do for you? He goes, sorry for not calling first. He looks very nervous, like uptight, very nervous. He goes, well, yeah. I just didn't know what to do or who to talk to. And she's looking at him like, okay. And she's like, it's okay. Not a problem. He goes, whatever I say, it's confidential, right? She goes, absolutely. HIPAA ensures that you have complete privacy. And he goes, okay, good. She's like, do you want to sit down? And he's like, yeah. So they sit down. And he's like, okay, so it's not about me. It's about Bree. What her ex did to her. And Mel is like, he goes, I know she told you. And that's why I came to you. She's like, right. Does she know that you're here? No, but I didn't know what else to do. Like, he's trying so hard to be the good guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you love him. He's so,
Well, it's funny because he is to Bree what she is to Jack.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Because they're both going through some personal crises.
And they need a supportive person.
Exactly.
Yep. And so he is trying. He doesn't know what to do, but he's not dumb enough to try and figure it out himself. He's actually smart enough to go find some help or ask someone who might know. So he's like, I have all this rage and I know I can't show her and I want to help, but I don't know how. And she's like, have you asked her if there's anything you can do? He says, I tried, but she says, fine. So I haven't pushed. She was, okay, well, then that's the right thing to do. He's, if she wants to talk, you listen. And if she doesn't, you just let her know that you're there for her. And he's like, okay. He goes, I don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. She's like, no, I understand. And then she gets up, she grabs a couple pamphlets, and she's like, here's a pamphlet from the House of Grace. He goes, and she's like, it's a rape crisis center in Grace Valley. This is a condensed guide on how to support sexual assault survivors. He goes, for instance, verbalize your support. He's like, and he's reading, don't make threats against the perpetrator. He goes, oops, too late for that. And she kind of smiles, like, but I'll stop. And he smiles, and she's like, there are also resources for friends and families of survivors.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it didn't happen to me. So, and she's like, yeah, but you have feelings about it. You said you were angry. He goes, yeah, a bit. He's like, it's just messed up, that someone would do that to her. And Mel nods her head. And he's like, I love Bree, and she doesn't deserve this. And Mel's like, I know, nobody does.
Yes.
So they're kind of just staring at each other. So here comes Jack, and he's at the bar, and he's got a big load of bread, and he gives it to Ricky, and he goes, not too many shifts left. And he's like, yep, I got like 3 more. And he goes, don't forget, I'm taking you to the bus station. And he's like, thanks. He goes, oh, preacher called. He said he left you a message, and, he wanted to tell you that he couldn't come in, and can you call Hannah so she can fill in? And so then there's Bree. So then Bree walks in. She says to Jack, where have you been this morning? And he's like, hey. And he's kind of looks at her like, I don't want to tell you something, but I want to tell you something. And she's like, fine, you don't have to tell me if it's a secret. And he's like, come here. And he nods to her to go into the office. And now she's like, he shuts the door. And she's like, okay, now you're freaking me out. He goes, it's just, we're not telling anyone yet. And she's like looking very nervous. She's like, what? And he smiles and he's like, Mel's pregnant. And she's like, oh my God. Gives him a big hug. Congratulations. He's like, thank you. Big smiles. Of course, his dimples are just like popping. Can't help it. And he's like, please don't tell anyone. And she's like, okay, thanks for telling me. I feel honored. He goes, well, you were my sister. She goes, oh, so Joey knows? Because of course. He goes, it's not a competition. And she's like, I'm teasing. He goes, I'm so excited for you. You're going to have 3 kids. Can you believe that? And he's like, he has to sit on his desk. Like, he just can't stay. He's like, no. Because literally, I mean, what? Charmaine's like,
from having
none. 6 months ago, he had no children. Now, he's got 1 chick pregnant, about 4 to 5 months pregnant. And Mel's about 2 months pregnant. The man works fast. He's got something. Good Lord. He can't believe it either. He's like, no, I cannot. She's like, well, don't be nervous. You're going to be a great dad. And he goes, thanks. He said, I have a meeting this afternoon. If that goes well, hopefully I can pay for all this. She's like, if you need money, I have savings. He goes, no, that's sweet, but I got a good feeling about this investor. She goes, okay, well, just in case it doesn't work out, you can call me. He goes, thank you. And he knocks wood and he goes, I hope I won't have to call you. And then she gives him a big hug. She's like, I'm so happy for you. He's like, thank you. And he's like, good stuff. He goes, Mom's the word. She goes, I think Auntie's the word. As she leaves and shuts the door.
I love his relationship with her.
It's
so
adorable.
Cool.
I love that.
Adorable.
And from what they've said before, that Jack, and even though he's the oldest now because the brother is gone and she's the youngest, that those two were always closer than anybody else. The other 3 sisters were like kind of doing their own thing and they kind of were close, but for whatever reason, Bree and Jack were the closest. And on the show, like off the show, like in real life, Martin Henderson, who plays Jack, and Alex Breckenridge, who's Mel, are very close friends as well. And there have been a lot of times, like on Instagram and whatever, where Zibby, Alex, and Martin get together. They go out to dinner, they go places, they cook together, because they all get along so well that it's funny that they get to be, they're friends on the show and relatives on the show, but also the chemistry that they have created just being who they are in real life. It translates so nice on the show because they actually do like each other. They actually get along. They joke.
And it's so nice to see that because we all know
so many times where that's not the case.
It's not the case. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a shame.
So Yeah, because if you're going to spend that much time with people, it's nice to know that you like them, and
Yeah.
you know you can get along with them, and you have some kind of camaraderie because
They joke and they play and they goof around
yeah,
and they
yeah,
get along good together, which is so nice
yeah,
because I mean, you have to work with these people for like 4 months straight.
exactly. Yeah,
It helps
and
when
you're
you
getting
actually
the
like each other.
and they've been doing. I mean, Zibby hasn't been on as long as Martin
Yeah,
and
she
Hope,
missed the first 2 seasons, but I mean, she's been
right?
there
But
a good
still,
amount of time
yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah, they get
So,
along really well. It's really nice, and it helps the chemistry on the show because they have such
I
good
think so.
chemistry off the show,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so we're back at the clinic, and Brady now has pamphlets and information in hand, and he's like, "Thanks for everything." She's like, "If you need anything, please let me know." And he's like, "I
He
will."
knows not to threaten to kill the guy because I can see him driving into San Francisco in his bike and basically hauling this guy's ass all over
Right,
SFO's
right.
feet.
Good Lord. So Mel's walking into the waiting room as she walks Brady out, and there's this air purifier that's humming away. And just as she's looking at that, Vernon gets there and he's like, "Good morning." And you hear, "Good morning." And she's looking at this thing and she's like, "Did you buy this?" And he's like, "No, I did not." And he goes, "You curious how it got here?" He's like, "Not particularly. I have bigger fish to fry." And he moves on. She's looking at it like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, we went to see Hope's neurologist this morning." And she's like, what did she say?" And he goes, "She's going to need some supervision." Mel's like, "Oh, what was Hope's response to that?" And he's like, "Oh, she had a couple choice words, which are too indecent to repeat. Fortunately, she saved the rant for the drive home."
Sorry. Oh,
He's like,
love
"Oh,
that.
she's such a spitfire." He goes, I just
That's
don't know what to
putting it
do.
nicely. That's putting it nicely.
Right?
Uh,
He's like, "I
I don't-
mean, she's adamantly against checking into a rehab center. And she doesn't want a stranger coming over to help." He goes, "Well, yeah, well, what about a compromise?" And he goes, "Well, what if you can find someone who she knows that's capable of handling her day to day?" He goes, "Oh." He goes, "That's a tall order, don't you think?" She goes, "Well, what do you think?" He's, "Unfortunately, I think the doctor is right." She goes, "Well, then as you've advised me in the past, don't let yourself be a doormat."
Yes.
And he just kind of looks at her and he's like, "Huh, yeah, well, that's good advice. Thank you."
Mm.
And she's like, "Thank you for reminding me of my good advice." And they both laugh. Now, at the same time, Cameron is walking into the kitchen with his little Tupperware full of lunch. And she's like, "Hey, I'm taking you to lunch." And Cameron's looking at Mel like, "Huh?" He goes, "What about the clinic?" She goes, "It's quiet. I'm sure Doc won't mind." He goes, "We could do it another time. And, I've got food from home." And he goes, "Oh, you can eat that tomorrow." She goes, "This is happening." He goes, "So this is happening?" She goes, "Yes, it is. So go grab your coat." He goes, "Okay, I'll put it in the fridge." So at the same time, looks like the bar is going to be a little busy. All the ladies show up at Jack's bar.
And that can go any way.
It really can. It really can. So we've got Muriel, we've got Liddy, Joellen. I see Connie in the back, and rounding out the end is Hope. And she's like, "Well, my sister-in-law and I promised Nick." And they're just talking away. She says, "It's only for one dinner." Oh, and there's also Tara. And she goes, "So why don't you guys like her?" And Liddy's like, "Pardon me, but she's a ball buster." And Joellen's like, "It's true." And they're basically talking about Nick's sister. Remember Melissa?
Yep.
So Joellen has a history with Melissa, obviously being, Nick's wife. But it sounds like that she's very different than everyone else. So Joellen is like, "Nick would kill me for telling you this, but there's a family trust," which is probably where he gets all his money.
Mm-hmm.
"She makes the decisions. Once a month, he gets a check, and he's supposed to keep his mouth shut." And Connie's like, "I'd be happy to keep my mouth shut for a check once a month." And Hope's like, "Please, like you'd ever let someone else call the shots." And Connie just kind of smirks at her like, "You're probably right." And Hope's like, "I don't think I've met her. How do you know her?" And Liddy's like, "We met at Nick and Joellen's wedding." He goes, "Wow, you guys have been friends a long time." Because I guess Tara didn't realize that some of these people in this town have literally known each other for over 20 years. I mean, you can assume, but to hear it, that's different.
I think some of these, like Liddy, who's I think had grown up in that town. I don't think she is from somewhere else. I think Liddy is one of those natives of Virgin River. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and it's funny because Joellen says, well, actually, Liddy babysat me when I was a kid. She's the reason I moved to Virgin River. I remember she called me and said she found paradise. When I got here, I met Nick, and the rest is history.
Okay.
And Connie's like, I don't think I ever knew that. She goes, oh my God, my memory is fading faster than a tide pool in a washing machine. And then Cope's like, throw in a TBI and you got yourself a party. Like, it's really good that she can joke about it. Because you know she's having a rough time. Good Lord.
Well.
So Joellen's like, anyway, enough about me. Liddy, how are you doing with Ricky getting ready to leave? Because remember, he's getting ready to get off to boot camp. She goes, oh, I'm fine, but I think he's a little nervous. And they're all looking at him like, it is a big step. And Tara's like, if you ever need anything, you can just call me. And Liddy's like, oh, thank you, dear. It's very kind, but I'll be fine. And all the ladies are like, yeah, she's not going to be fine. They're looking at her going, nope, she's putting on a front.
Exactly.
So now we see Preacher in his big truck going out to the coordinates that he got from Paige that's supposed to give the location of where Wes is holding Christopher. And he makes it out there.
Got a bad feeling about this.
And you should. I mean, he's going out there by himself with no backup.
Well, that's the thing. That's what worries me. I understand he's military, but we're dealing with a psychopath. And I just felt he could have, if he had just told Mike.
I know.
To have someone to have his back just in case.
And I'm sure he has a gun. So let's see. So he has binoculars, which is good because he can be far away and still check out things. So he's kind of skulking through the forest, and he finally gets close enough to the house where he sees it. He has the binoculars. He's looking for evidence that they're actually there. So he sees a bike and a soccer ball, and he's trying to verify that they're actually there because in his mind, he's going to go and confront everything, and he's going to figure out what's happening. He goes up to the door. It's not locked. He walks in, and he looks around. And he starts looking for evidence, pictures that Christopher had drawn. So he knows he was there, verifies that. So he's just looking around, not finding anything, not finding anybody there. Not looking good. So now we are across town, and Jack has this glamping site set up. Now, he's done a really nice job. It looks like the beginnings of a fence. There's like a barbecue area. There's a platform right outside of this beautiful Airstream.
Airstreamer, yeah, the Airstreamer looks really cool.
Airstreams are so much fun. Like, this is such a good idea. And he put some grass down, little path. I mean, it's beautifully done. I mean,
it's overlooking the water, which is
right there on the water's edge. It's not even done yet, and it already looks impressive. So he's just kind of like working on things, and Nick pulls up. He's grabbing some propane tanks or what have you, and Nick pulls up, and he opens the back of his truck, and he's like, hey! And he grabs a couple things for Jack, and he's like, what's this? He goes, oh, I got an extra generator you might be able to use. Collecting dust over at our place. And Jack's like, thanks. And he goes, what do you want for it? He goes, oh, nothing. He goes, Joellen's been trying to get me to clear out the storage shed for ages. He helps him carry it over to the platform. And he goes, I also got a bunch of string lights I thought you might use. And she goes, she buys them like they're going out of style. He goes, I got to give you something for that. He goes, you could sell it and make some money. I can't be bothered. And he goes, well, thank you. He goes, it's all right. I'm happy to help. And he's like, you still want to talk about your business plan? And he goes, we're still on for drinks later at the bar. And he goes, all right. So they're going to meet up later. So Jack's like, thanks. Cheers. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Generators are not cheap, as you and I are fully aware of.
Exactly. So it looks like Cameron and Mel are sitting at the bar in this cute little lunchy breakfast little cafe. And the waitress comes up. She's like, here's lemonade and iced tea for the gentleman. And so they're just sitting there having a nice lunch. Thank you. And she's like, cheers. He goes, what are we celebrating? She's like, your generosity. And she goes, that Dyson fan, pretty fancy. He goes, well, it does get stuffy in some of those rooms. And I know Doc isn't about to upgrade the air conditioning. She goes, oh, yeah, very true. And he's like, so what are you going to have? And she's like, I'm either going to have the salad or the big-eyed tuna. And he goes, no. He goes, tuna's very high in mercury, which can be very dangerous when you're... And he stops. And she looks at him. And she goes, when you're... And he kind of like I'm... And the look on her face is, you're caught? And he's like, pregnant? And she's like, which of course you already know. And she's like, She goes, how did you figure it out? He goes, well, I accidentally stuck my head in and overheard you telling someone. She goes, what did you overhear? That you were pregnant. He goes, I walked away when I realized it was a private conversation. She goes, oh. He goes, I'm really sorry. I should have been honest, but when it happened, I panicked. I didn't know how to bring it up again. And she goes, oh, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. He goes, could you just do me a favor and not mention it to anybody? He goes, we're not telling anyone right now. He goes, oh, yeah, absolutely fine. She's like, thanks. So how are you feeling? And she goes, I'm fine. She goes, I mean, I'm tired, but the nausea is kind of let up. So he goes, oh, that's good. He goes, and how about Jack? Oh, he's very excited. We both are. Cameron's like, well, anything you need. If you want me to like cover a shift or drive you somewhere. He's like, I'm sure Jack will, but just in case he's not available. So there's the first dig. Because Cameron already doesn't think Jack is good enough for her, which is why he's been trying to weasel his way in. And now, the whole thing with him drinking and then disappearing, Cameron was right there, just helping out, Mr. Innocent. So now he's just gonna try to weasel his way in. She's like, oh, it's very thoughtful of you. Thank you. He's like, can we redo the toast? And she's like, sure. He goes, to you becoming a mother and your very lucky baby. He's like, thank you. And now he kind of has a weird look on his face. Like, crap. Now I've really lost her. Because it's one thing to just, they're not engaged. They're not married. They're just together. But now he put a bun in her oven. Oh, a little hard to work around that. But Cameron seems a little thick. So he's going to keep trying. Because that's the kind of guy he is. So back at the clinic, Hope shows up. Doc's just working away in his office. And she walks in. She's got a bag with her from Jack's. And she's like, she puts the bag on his desk. He's like, I'm sorry I got upset this morning. She goes, you're the one who suggested I need a handler. He's like, honestly, I can't say that I disagree with her. And Hope's like, He goes, think of all the good that regular cognitive physical therapy would be. She goes, I already go to both. He goes, yeah, but it's only once a week. And if you're there, it'll be every day. And she goes, Vernon, my cousin Sylvie, went into one of those places and ended up dying there. So that's basically what she's afraid of. She's just afraid that she's going to be stuck there forever. And that's going to be the end of that. She goes, if I'm going to check out, I want to be in the comfort of my own home. And he's like, nobody's talking about dying, and your cousin was 15 years older than you. She goes, I don't care. I'm dead set against it. Pun intended. He's like, okay, then I must insist on having someone come to the house. She's like, I don't want... He goes, Hope, stop. This is one argument you're not going to win. So he is putting his foot down. That's probably the first time he's really done that in a really long time. Okay, so now we're back at Lizzie and Denny, who have worked extra hard to make a ton of signs for Ricky for his send-off to boot camp. And she's like, we make a good team. It's like, yeah, they look good, and I think he's going to love it. So she's like, Connie won't be home until later. Do you want to hang out upstairs? And he's like, oh, I should probably go. She's like, you said you were free today. He's like, well, I don't think we should. And she's like, I don't get you. You like me, you don't like me. We kiss, and then you're just whatever. And he's like, it's not you. I can't explain it. She's like, you're making me feel like crap. And I've made it clear that I like you, and you can't decide if you like me back. He goes, I told you I'm not in the right place. She goes, what does that even mean? The right place for what? To hook up? To have a relationship? He's like, I don't want to hurt you. He's like, then be honest with me. Whatever it is, I can handle it. And he's like, can we be friends and just leave it at that? She just looks heartbroken. She's like, that's what you want? To just be friends? He's like, well, no. That's all I can do right now. I can't be friends with someone who's hiding. That's what she says. She goes, that's not how friendship works, at least for me. And he goes, okay, I get it. I'll leave you alone. She's like, are you freaking serious? Like with tears in her eyes. She goes, you'd rather stop hanging out than tell me whatever it is? And he's like, yeah, sorry. And he leaves. So whatever he's hiding must be pretty big that he's willing to just not even have anything to do with her.
Well, was it the waitress who said he may be hiding something?
Oh, yeah. They've all said. Everybody said there's something more to him. So we just don't know what it is. Now, we know that he's taking medicine that's not prescribed to him. He's by himself because his dad just passed away a month ago. Clearly, he still has his grandmother. And he was going to go to medical school, but he's decided to take a year off and travel to see the world. But since he found out he has a grandfather, he's decided to try and deal with that relationship first. So he's just, I've always said there's something going on with him that he's not telling everybody. And it's got to be pretty big if he's making decisions like this.
I agree.
So now we're back at Jack's bar, and Miriam is up at the bar ordering from Jack, and she's like, a veggie wrap and a Diet Coke. And Jack's like, the wrap comes with French fries or a side salad. And she's like, I'm doing the French fries. And he's like, good choice. And then Hope sits down, and she's like, hey. He goes, hey, Hope, how you doing? She's like, just peachy. That's not good. And then Nick walks in, waves to Jack, and he's like, what can I get you? She goes, pie, apple, whipped cream. She goes, and don't try and sell me that sugar-free nonsense. He goes, I wouldn't dream of it. So Muriel is very tentative when she deals with Hope because they have sort of a contentious but yet friendly sort of on the way to relationship. So she looks over and she goes, are you having a good day? And she goes, you would not believe the conversation I had with Vernon. Hannah comes up, gives Hope a cup of coffee. She didn't even get a chance to put it down before she's literally grabbing it from her.
Now, I feel that moment, let me tell you.
Right?
There it is where it doesn't even hit the table, just hand it to me.
Right? So Muriel says to Hope, try me. She goes, he is insisting that I hire a home health aide. And Muriel's like, and what's bad about that? And she goes, how'd you like it if some stranger came in and started bossing you around? And Muriel's like, well, would that stranger do laundry? As she's giving Muriel a cup of coffee. And Hope's like, I suppose. He goes, then I don't think I'd mind. And Hope's like, ugh. She goes, you're saying that because it's what Vernon wants. And Muriel's like, no, I'm not. She goes, I'm thinking it must be nice to have someone who cares enough to want to fight you about hiring help. She goes, easy for you to say. You can do whatever you want. You're completely independent. See, this is where she doesn't get it. Hope doesn't get it. And Muriel's like, well, that's very true, but what if I fall and can't get to the phone? She's like, how long before somebody would notice? Would I just lay there on the floor rotting like some piece of fruit? And Hope is like, that's a little dramatic, isn't it? And Muriel, this is where she kind of clues her in how different her life is. She goes, I live by myself. I don't have someone keeping tabs on me or wondering where I'm going or what I'm doing. She goes, if I were you, I'd be grateful that you have someone looking out for you. She goes, I can be grateful and still not want a nanny. She goes, oh, for the love of Pete, just give it a try before you decide it's not for you. Thank you. As Hannah puts down their lunch. So now we're back at the cafe where Mel and Cameron are having lunch. And it looks like the waitress picked up their plates. Mel she was coming back maybe from the restroom. She goes, all right, ready to go? And he's like, what about the check? She goes, I got it. He goes, you shouldn't have done that. She goes, that's okay. You can get it next time. And he's like, there's something I need to tell you. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Cameron, as soon as somebody says there's something I need to tell you.
It never holds well for any of them.
No, it's not good news. It's like, if there's something I need to tell you, it's something that I probably shouldn't tell you. And I should probably keep it to myself. Because that it just doesn't end well. It doesn't, especially for him, because he's constantly opening his mouth and putting his foot in it. And here's another example of it. You go right ahead, Cameron. What do you need to say? What are you saying, my friend? He goes, I know that we haven't known each other for long. Here we go. And she sits down to listen. And he's like, so she sits down to listen. And he's like, but I feel like we've gotten quite close. Okay, there's your first problem. I feel like that's where he's crossed the line. That's not something that should be said in a business sense. Like, they're colleagues, and that feels like it's too personal. That's just my opinion. I feel like that's where he crossed the line, that he's getting too close, or he's taking liberties that feeling like he has the ability to take liberties that he shouldn't be taking. And she's like, uh-huh. And then he's like, and if I'm being completely honest, I care about you. Again, there's the second line that he's crossed. And then he says, maybe a bit more than I should. And now we've crossed the third line. He's so far over the line, he just needs to, like, sit down. Like, seriously. Now, this is just all inappropriate. And she's sitting there with her mouth open, like, huh? Like, doesn't even see him. Like, he's just a guy that works at the clinic. Like, she does not look at him that way, doesn't see him that way, doesn't think of him that way. All the things that he was doing about buying the tea and the fan and the juice and the checking in on it, like, that's just, she's oblivious to it. Like, oh, isn't that's so nice? It's so nice of him. Oh, he's a nice guy. Totally oblivious. Like, everybody else can see it, but she doesn't see it. And she's like, Cameron, I don't feel that way. He goes, oh, no, this is not about us. He corrects her. He's like, it's about Jack. And then she gets a look on her face like, he goes, I wouldn't have said anything, but now that you're pregnant. Okay, here's the fourth line he's going to cross. I'm concerned. Like, really, Cameron? Really? Like, things already we're going to be uncomfortable, but now you're going to make it worse.
It's called insert foot into mouth.
And she's looking at him like, he goes, when he didn't show up. She goes, oh, Cameron. She smiles. She's like, that was an isolated incident. I promise. He apologized. He's like, I get that. He goes, when your baby is born, you're going to need someone you can count on. Someone that's going to be there for you. And I'm afraid. And she's like, where is this coming from?
Yes.
And then he explains. He goes, my ex-fiance is an alcoholic. And I'm not equating her to Jack, but you have to think of your future. Like, he says it with all the sincerity in the world. And she looks at him and she goes, listen, your experience with your ex is not my experience with Jack. And he goes, and if they would have left it right there, I think things could have been salvaged, but he had to push. And this is where he crossed the fifth line. The man is just way over. He's like, that might be true. But I remember the first time Michelle didn't come home because she was out drinking. And I remember the second, and that's when Mel has had enough. She stands up and she's like, I'm going to stop you there. She's like, from now on, I think we should stick to being coworkers. She's looking pissed. Like, she's got her hands up and she's standing there. And, she just walks away. And then he's realizing, oops.
They have gone too far.
Stupid. So now we're back at Jack's bar, and Nick and Jack are sitting down chatting about the glamping business. So Jack's like, I don't want to pressure you, but I would love to hear your thoughts on my proposal. So he must have put together a business plan and given it to Nick so that he could peruse it. And now they're sitting down to, like, discuss what he thinks about it and if it's something he'd be interested in. And Nick is like, yeah, I thought it was good. He goes, in fact, I think your projections for the first 2 years were on the low end. And Jack's like, you think the profit share could be higher? And Nick's like, with the B&B referrals, it's likely. And he goes, well, that's good to hear. He goes, that's good, right? And Nick opens his wallet and he pulls out a check and he hands it to Jack. And Jack looks at it and his eyes get big. And he looks at the check and he looks at Nick and he goes, Nick, this is triple the amount we talked about. He goes, sure you're comfortable putting this much in? He goes, look, I believe betting on Jack Sheridan is the smartest investment a guy could make. And Jack's like astonished. So it looks like the glamping business will go forward.
Yeah, man's got some money.
Yeah, and he apparently now we know where he gets it from. Whatever shady shit Melissa's into, she
Mm-hmm.
for Nick keeping his mouth shut, he just gets a check every month.
Well, we have to find out whether or not Nick knows about what's going on, or he is
Honestly,
innocent by.
I don't believe he knows. I believe that he thinks, as far as he's concerned, that her business is legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's obviously not going to share. Because Nick seems like a
Well,
stand-up guy, and
mm-hmm.
he would narc on her, I think. And I think she knows
Well,
that.
also the fact that he may have told Sue Ellen, and we know Sue Ellen can't keep a secret if her life depended
And
on
don't
it.
you think since she knows Sue Ellen, that she knows that Sue Ellen can't keep her mouth shut, so she's probably better off just leaving them in the dark. It's like, look, I got the business. You have your B&B, and I'm just going to send you a check every month. As long as we're doing good, you'll get a check, and let's just leave it at that. And they're probably like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Till it all falls apart. Because one day it's going to fall apart, because this kind of stuff never lasts.
Well, it's a good thing they have the B&B, so.
Well, and hopefully, it sounds like Nick's a smart guy with his money that it's got tucked away. Oh, my. So it's in the evening, the lovely drone shot over Virgin River with the city lights. And we see Bree standing outside of a movie theater, and it's a Steve McQueen Film Festival. And she's like, hey, and you see Brady running up to her. Hey, because apparently they were supposed to meet. And she's like, we missed the previews. And he's like, it's no big deal. We can get tickets. She goes, the big deal is I've been waiting here for 10 minutes. And previews are my favorite part. He goes, you know that. He goes, yeah, I'm really sorry. I got caught up at work. She goes, I've been trying to reach you all day. He goes, yeah. I went to see Mel earlier. I had a few questions about what happened to you. And she's like, ugh. Like, you could tell the look on her face. Like, great. Now people are talking about me behind my back. Like, it's that look. And he's like, I don't want to screw up and say the wrong thing. He goes, if I was out of line, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know the best way to support you. And she's like, I told you, I want to forget about it. He goes, I know, but I've never been in this situation. So she's like, and this is why I didn't want to tell you. She's like, the way you're looking at me, like you feel sorry for me. He's like, what? No. He's like, that's not it. He goes, I love you and I want to help you.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know. And what you're seeing is me having no idea what I'm doing, which is so true. Generally, that's Brady. He goes, please, please.
I'm glad he's honest enough to see that.
He is. I know. I give him a lot of props. He's made mistakes, but he's generally will own up to it. And he goes, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. He goes, but I'm trying to do right by you. And she sees that, and she's like, okay. He's like, okay? He goes, okay, so you're not mad at me? She goes, no, your intention was sweet. He goes, well, I meant every word, and I love you. She goes, I love you too.
You're too cute.
He goes, there it is. And she's like, what? He goes, the gorgeous smile of yours. Yeah, she goes, you bring it out of me. He goes, I want to make you happy. Little kiss. So cute. Nobody else is outside of the booth anymore, outside of the movie theater. He goes, so you want to see a movie or what? She goes, yeah.
Everybody's watching the previews.
Yeah, their previews are done. So Preacher is back at his house by himself, and he goes in, unlocks the door. He walks in, ready to tell Paige that nobody was there, nothing happened. He hears clattering in the kitchen, some dishes. Paige? And then you see Christopher running. Preach! He goes, oh, hey, buddy. Gives him a big hug. He goes, are you okay? He goes, yeah. He goes, how did you get here? He goes, Uncle Vince dropped me off. And he goes, where's your mom? He goes, she left with him. And she said she'd see me soon. But then she started crying. He goes, did she? Did she say where they were going? He goes, no, but she told me to give you this. And it was a letter. So he's opening the letter and he's reading it. And it says, Preacher, I'm sorry I couldn't be honest with you, but I know you'd never accept the truth. The only way Christopher will be safe is if I stop running and give Vince what he wants. Me. Please take care of my... So it was a setup. She basically lied to Preacher to get him out there so that he could actually be out of the way so that she could exchange herself for Christopher. She's like, please take care of my boy. And when he's old enough to understand, tell him what happened and how much I love him. It says, you're the greatest man I've ever known, and I hope you find everything that you want in life. Paige. She basically gave herself up for Christopher and just assumes that Preacher's just going to raise him the rest of his life and that
Now,
she's
this
stuck.
did not sign up to be a single father.
Yeah, he definitely did not. I mean, he did it for a short term, but I guarantee he wasn't thinking this was going to happen forever. But I mean, Vince just wants revenge. He doesn't, it's not like he wants to be with her. You know,
No.
it's not, he just wants to kill her. But the only way that he would accept getting rid of Christopher was if she went with him. So that's what she gave him. So we're back at Hope and Doc's. And Doc is on the phone and he's like, to Hope, he's like, I just got off the phone with the insurance company.
Oh boy.
And she says, I told them we're not going to contest the claim. We're just going to pay for it and move on. And that was from that little accident that she had with Joellen. And she's like, thank you for handling that for me. And he's like, you're welcome. And he's like, now, there is still the issue. She was, I know. I've thought about what you said. And I'm willing to hire an aide on a trial basis. And he's like, okay, then. I'm glad that we're on the same page. She's like, all I ask is during the hiring process, I have veto power, which I will not abuse because, you know, he was ready to say something. She goes, as long as you plan on being responsible. She's like, I do. She goes, I owe you a thank you. And he's like, for what? He goes, for caring so much about me. She goes, I'm lucky to have you. And he's like, oh, no. I'm the lucky one. Aw. A hug and a kiss. And just as Denny walks in. And they're like, how was your day? And he's like, good. He goes, helping Lizzie make some going away signs for Ricky. And she goes, have you had dinner? And he's like, not yet. And he's not looking so good. He goes, I'm not feeling that good. He goes, you're probably hungry. Let me heat up some chicken. And he kind of stumbles and he catches himself. And he goes, oh, no, it's okay. Don't do that. And then he goes down. And they're like, Denny, can you hear me? And he's like, call 911. So Doc grabs a pillow, puts his feet up because, you know, you got to get blood to the heart. And he's like, Denny. So now we're back at Jack's bar and Ricky's tidying up. And he sees a guy sitting over. Oh, I love this scene. Sees a guy.
Favorite scene. I love this scene.
So good.
It's so good.
So Ricky sees the guy sitting in a booth, and he says to Hannah, doesn't that guy know how to read a room? And Hannah's like, you take out the trash. I've got him. So she walks over, and she's like, we're closing up. Let me know when you're done. And he's like, oh, I was hoping to run into a friend of mine. Now, he's in like a suit. He's got, you know, collared shirt, and he's got a whiskey or something. He looks like he's got a little bit of money. He looks very smug, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, you might know her, Bree Sheridan. Now, of course, Hannah knows Bree, but Hannah's a very smart cookie. She's like, yeah, I know Bree. He goes, any idea where I might find her? We used to work together in Sacramento. Her brother owns the bar. And she's like, if you come by tomorrow, maybe we can help you. And he goes, anything more specific, like an address? Like, she literally is staying upstairs. But she's not going to tell him that.
She knows better.
Oh, yeah. He goes, I want to surprise her. And Hannah just gives a very nice smile. Like, just very sweet. She goes, I don't give out other people's personal information. She goes, and B, she kind of looks at him like, ew. She goes, I'm not into guys, so whatever this isn't going to work on me. Which I love. It's so funny.
Love that line. Just love it.
Oh my God, that's the best line ever. And
I love the look on her face.
Well, and she waves her hand like this is what you're, no. And she's kind of like, ew. And then gives a very nice smile and walks away. And he just finishes his drink in one swig like a jerk, looks pissed, grabs his phone and walks out. So now we've got Mel and Jack. Now they're testing out the Airstream. So now it looks like he's cleaned up and everything. So the lights that Nick gave him, he put out front. It looks like it's really nicely decorated inside. The deck that they have built in the center, there's like a fire pit, and then there's two like Adirondack chairs that they're sitting on that overlook the water.
Lovely.
It's like the lake or the river or whatever that is. It's really nice.
It's Virgin River.
I know.
It's a Virgin River.
It's beautiful. And so Mel's like, so technically we're going to sleep in there, meaning the Airstream. Because remember, she's not a camper. She doesn't like camping.
I'm with her.
Right? She goes, and not outside, right? Now they're sitting out there. She's got a blanket on. He's got one over his lap. She's got something hot in a mug. And they're just like chilling. And he's like, yes. She's like, okay. He goes, you're pregnant and I'm not a monster. And they just laugh about that. And it's funny. And she's like, you relieved? And she's like, yes. He goes, I mean, I don't want to be a downer, but it's kind of actually chilly out here. And he's like, oh, you've been a good sport. She goes, well, the hot chocolate is helping. And he's like, good. And he leans over and he gives her a kiss. He goes, that was my intention. He says, I've been rabbiting on about my day. He goes, how was yours? How did things end up? And she says, well, he goes, did you talk to Cameron? And she goes, he said he wasn't returning your texts. She's like, right. Yeah, right. Well, I guess he forgot to press send. So she is not going to share that very awkward lunch, Cameron's feelings about Jack and his obvious feelings.
Either.
Oh, I totally agree. Because hopefully it'll just blow over. He'll stop acting like an ass, you know, and realize that he doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell with Mel, and will just be there to do his job. Like, just be a doctor. Just be a doctor. Like, you don't have to do anything else but your job. Like, nobody's asking you to do anything more. And Jack's like, oh, so it was nothing? She's gonna play it off. Yeah. And he's like, are you cold? Do you want my blanket? And she goes, no, I'm fine. She goes, I might get a refill, because I guess they made hot chocolate. She goes, do you want one? He goes, oh, no. I should be, I'm good. So.
I'm loving that streamer, let me tell you.
Yeah.
That air.
It's amazing. So he's done with his drink. She takes them both in. She goes in, and she puts the cups down. And the song in the background is Have a Little Faith in Me. That just starts, like, he changes the song. As soon as she walks into the Airstream, he changes the song. And you hear the song Have a Little Faith in Me. And she refills her hot chocolate, and her cell phone chimes. So she picks it up, and she looks at the message, and it's Cameron. And it says, hey, Mel, about what I said, I'm truly sorry. It wasn't my place to say. I just want what's best for you. I hope you can understand. See. And she kind of is like, ugh, whatever. She doesn't even reply. She puts the phone down. She hears the song. And she walks out and she's like, I love this song. And just as she peeks her head out, she stops in her tracks with a shocked look on her face. Because Jack, the first thing he says is, please don't say anything else. Because he's down on one knee with a ring in his hand.
Oh, sweet.
I know. He goes, at least let me get through the question this time. Because the last time he tried to do this, she blurted out, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. And then they went on like a tangent for the last, like, I don't know, weeks, couple weeks, a week, a day, at least 3 days. Who knows how long time passed. And he's just,
Virgin River, God
right?
only knows.
It could have been a week. It could have been 3 days. We don't know. But he's down on his one knee and he's like, please just let me get through the question this time. And she's like, doesn't say a word. She closes her mouth. She's like, shakes her head. She walks. She's like, okay. And she puts the drink down and she walks over to him. And she's tentative and she stands right in front of him like in shock. And it's the song, Have a Little Faith in Me. And he goes, Mel. She's not even fully over there yet. She's like 5 steps from standing in front of him. And he's like, Mel, from the first moment I set eyes on you, I knew you were special. And she's like, oh. He goes, when I walked you home from the bar that night to Hope's rickety old cabin, I didn't want to say goodnight. I didn't want to leave your side. And as I've fallen deeper and deeper in love with you. Now, if you notice, he's got tears in his eyes.
It's adorable.
His eyes are getting misty. He goes, that feeling has only grown stronger. And she's about ready to cry too. And then he opens the box and you see it. And it's a beautiful ring. It looks very old, like a single diamond with diamonds around it. It's beautiful. Probably white. It looks very old. Looks like white gold or something. I don't know. You know more about jewelry than me.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a vintage ring.
It does. It does. And he's like, so if you will let me, I want to spend the rest of my life making you the happiest woman in the world. What I'm asking you is, Mel Monroe, will you marry me? And she kind of stops, takes a deep breath, looks at the ring, looks at him, and it's over. They have to end it there. Like, really?
Why? Why did they have to end it there? They didn't have to end it there.
They did have to. Because they love to just keep us
I know.
in the loop. Just keep us running around like a rat in a trap.
Yeah, the suspense. I get it.
Now,
don't like it, but I get it.
When they were filming that, I think they had to do it more than once. Because when they're in character, they get very emotional. I mean, they care about each other because they're friends, and their characters, they care about their characters. They know they've been doing this for, this is the 4th season, so 4 years. And their relationship has grown so slowly, even though slowly is an understatement. It's been 6 months, and we're into 4 years. 4 years our time, 6 months Virgin River time, which is a whole nother problem. So when they filmed that, just like the scene where she said that she loved him, remember right after he was playing baseball and she was pissed at him? And then she confessed her love for him, and he teared up. Those are real emotions. They actually had to film it twice because he was crying a little bit too much. So they had to film it a couple times because it was just so emotional.
That's so sweet.
Isn't it sweet? It's so rare for a man to cry. I mean, for him especially, he doesn't cry. He's cried a half a dozen, not even, maybe 3 times. 4 times tops, and most of them have been related to Mel.
Yeah, well, also some of it has been related to traumatic experiences.
Oh yeah. I guess you could say half is probably Lonergan. He cried over. He cried when he was putting that letter in the fire. He cried when he was having his PTSD. He just cried when he was talking about his brother. He cried when Mel and him were saying they loved each other. When he was trying to get her back a couple times, he cried. And, when she told him that she loved him. And then remember when she ditched him, she was like, I'm done with you because you drank and you missed my sister's wedding. And he's in the car just sobbing his little eyes out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying he's a very emotional person, but it's like he held it in for so many years that he's probably cried more in his time, 6 months, than he probably had in 20 years.
Probably.
And then Mel has just broken through all of that hard exterior that he had to let him actually feel like it's okay to have those emotions. In therapy helped too. So, but now as long as they don't get interrupted for this proposal, then I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll be okay. I think because every interruption, I swear to God, these two, everybody gets interrupted. So if we can just get through this proposal without, a meteor or somebody driving across the beach or, some phone call or siren or tornado warning. I don't know what could happen. Anything could happen, but let's hope not. Let's hope we can get through the proposal. Enjoy the moment. Won't that be nice?
That would be nice.
Now there's 1 episode left. It's a really good it starts off with the proposal, and it has a real an ending.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
There's a lot happening. It was voted I think the best episode, not of just season 4, but of all of them. So it's a really good episode, and it's a nice way to end season 4, because season 5, so the first 4 seasons were there was one showrunner, and then for season 5 they switched to a new showrunner who is now also continues on. They did season 6, they're doing season 7, but season 5 was their first one. They were going for something, and people felt that they missed the point a little bit.
I say you missed it a lot.
Well, it's like the show is about Mel and Jack. It's about their romance. It's about their relationship and how everyone else fits into it and does their own thing and has their own very, intricate lives. But it was almost like the romance was season 5. The romance sort of took
Was
the back
gone.
seat. It took the back seat, and
Mm-hmm.
they definitely did a much better job when it came time for season 6. They heard what the people said. Listen to the
Thank
people.
God.
So
Listen to the people.
Season 4 was very romantic. Lots of love. I mean, once you get through all the baby drama. But it ends on a, some crazy things happen in the next episode. And then season 5 is just, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of different things that are happening. It's hard. It's sad. It's happy. It's traumatic. It's a rough year. The season 5 is rough. So we may have to start filming these at night so we can have some wine, because we may need some, because I don't know if coffee's going to do it. There's a couple of episodes where I feel like we're going to need a glass of wine. So we're going to have to talk about that later when we get a little closer.
Alrighty.
Because we know what's coming.
I may have to pull out my rum of tequila.
Something. We may need something.
I need it.
Because, yeah.
Yeah.
There's... Oof.
Yep. I know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll take it one episode at a time, just like we've been doing. But we'll get through it, Gigi. You and me, we'll get through it.
Yes, we will.
All right. Well, we got one more left for the finale of season 4, and then we'll be ready. All right.
Okay, folks.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we hope you are enjoying our rendition of what's happening in Virgin River. And we will be back for another episode next time. Have a great week. Thanks, everybody.
Au revoir.
All right. Bye-bye.